So today, I decided to make a quick little video about my cafe racer. I'm sorry that it's so dark in my garage because it's like 90 degrees outside. I'm gonna swap this tire with the tire on the chopper that's back there. And it's got the same rim, it's a CX500, but this is a special kind of configuration that I got going on because I got two of these forks, flip this one around the other way so that I could mount a second caliper. See, I made a bracket that was a U shape to bolt through to hold on the other bracket, so it's still mounted on the same way. The original one that was meant for the European version should have had a bracket like this that mounted like on this outside edge, or on the inside edge rather. Yeah, on the inside edge like that one does. But it, I only had the US version. I think that's what it was. And so I had to, use a couple washers right there. I think right here there's some washers and probably like a 4mm, 5mm spacer right there. I had to do these bolts right here just match, the threads, and I had to put a spacer here that was like, I think 9 or 8mm. I measured it with a caliper, but yeah, with this is actually a rear axle. That's why this part's sticking out, because the rear axle is supposed to clamp onto here. This makes it so you can mount, I've mounted a bag here before onto it, and it works out pretty good. And that one right there gets a little close, but it doesn't touch. It's kind of amazing that it worked out the way it did, because the reverse Comstars, you could mount a disc brake on both sides. And as soon as I found that out, I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna do this. But I got two of them now, and I got the same reverse Comstar on the other bike. The speedo goes right there. I don't even have it hooked up. I got it plugged up because I got a vapor on there, and I took off the sensor. I'll just take the magnet off the ring. It works pretty good. But to get it off now, I have to loosen up I got a Tarazi fork brace, because this is like totally tricked out cafe racer. And it's easy enough just to undo these two bolts and then undo these ones, because this right here is a bitch to get lined back up again. I had to fiddle with it for a while to get that to work out right, just the angles and if it was rubbing or not. I think eventually I found out it was just because the piston inside this one was bad, but I fixed that a while ago, and now the brakes ride great. It really does give you like twice the stopping power. It's freaking amazing. So I'm gonna take off this rotor, put it on the other one, and swap these out. I just figured somebody wanted to see what I had done to make this work. It was really easy, just a piece of 1/4-inch steel, and it looks a little shoddy. I ground at it, made the shape, tried to. I should have actually tapped it, but it's just the bolts are going through, and then they go through here, and then the threads are in the caliper mount, if you remember, if you've ever worked on your CX500. And I just had to get a bigger master cylinder. I think this one's a 20, says it on there, 3/4 by 20mm, and so you got more pumping power. That makes a big difference. And I had to I had to put this right here is a sensor on the end. It's a pressure sensor. So instead of a button switch, because this one doesn't have a button switch because it's meant for a universal sport bike. And yeah, so I don't know if I need to explain how to take it off. It's the same as normal, just more pain in the ass aligning things, because to get that right there to line up, you have to literally shove the wheel in at the same time just to give it enough pressure to mount there, because that right there literally keeps this right here from rubbing on that. It's really close, but I swear it works. Alright, I'm going at it. Just to show you, I do have the motorcycle jacked up fairly sturdy jacked. It does slide right out. It's only about a half an inch on there. It's right out, and you can see where the bolts are on there and that. And see how it's. That lighting is terrible. I got all those in there. The other one comes out all the way. It's just easier to not mess up these because I have them configured in such a way with just the right amount of spacing. So the other one comes all the way off. And threw my calipers up on the crash bars. Side note, I want to describe something that I realized when I bought this bike. The last time it was registered was in like 2009 or 2008 maybe, and I got it in 2015. And as you can see, there's a little bit of rash on here. There's a big scuff on that. I painted it. I didn't bother to buff it out. But in here, I had to JB weld that. So the guy who owned it before, he must have dumped this thing on this side. And when you got this crash bar on here, it will fuck up your motor mount. So if you got any other kind of motor mount you want to use on a CX500, it's probably better than this one. But I think all of them that I've seen, because it's a hanging suspended frame, there's nothing that goes underneath it for it to mount on. Probably not the best thing to have, but I did dump it one other time. That was when I got this little thing in the tank. It threw the bar into the tank, and it survived. It was pretty good, and I think it snapped that again. But I've had the motor off since then, and I've re-glued it. I mean, with, JB weld, and it holds. It's good. So the motor runs fine. The motor runs great, so it didn't mess anything up internally. Yeah, it's still a nice thing because it'll protect your exhaust pipes and stuff like that, and your shifter. And I think this went down, it just went up. It was pretty much all right. And the handlebar went down, and it wrecked one of my old mirrors, and it bent the handlebars. That was the guy who rear-ended me. And it fell over in the parking lot a few times, and it saved it. Nothing else got messed up. Old lady's backing into it. Pissed me off. So there's that. So now I'm gonna keep this left one on. I think it's good, and the other one was fine. I'm just gonna take off the one on the other side. All you do is you just straight up. Wait a minute, do I got this right? I don't remember if it was on the left or the right. These ones, maybe I keep this one on the left side. Let's see. It's on the left side. Alright, so there's a little cover guard that goes on the one. So I'm just gonna swap that out. So I just wanted to show you. This is the part after you sorry, I'm eating some peanuts. Take this off. This is just a cover for if you only have one rotor. And this one has shorter bolts. If you hit one with the double rotor, it has longer bolts. I don't remember if they were just in there, or I had these left over from something. But I got 5 matching bolts. And that's what you need to hold the rotor on. This is the opposite side of the Speedo. The Speedo's on the other side. You can tell because of the bearing that's in there. And this one's missing the cover on the bearing, but whatever. So this sticks out as far as it should, because there's supposed to be like a little piece of plastic that goes over it. But just line up the holes. Start throwing those bolts in. Oh, gotta line them up right. There you go. Start throwing those bolts in there. Tighten it down. I just tighten it down by hand. It's probably supposed to be like 9 or 10 newtons or pounds or something like that if you have a torque wrench. I have a torque wrench, but I don't feel like using it. And I'll show you when it's on there. Or maybe I won't.